Hello to anyone who's here for the first time. It's one of my series of live harp lessons, and my name is Zuzanna, and I'm a harpist and harp teacher living and working in Edinburgh. And today's topic is a really cool one, both for beginner harpists and more advanced ones. Before I explain more, can you let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me? You can send a like if you're on Facebook, or put a comment likewise on Instagram, or you can send some hearts or emojis, whatever you fancy. And as people are coming in, I'll just explain a bit more why today's topic and who is it for. So the idea came actually from a question that was asked in one of the harp Facebook groups. Someone asked, I think it was a teacher asking on behalf of herself, but asking how to help her students unlearn that habit of sliding. And by sliding, I don't mean the intentional slides where you use your thumb to get 5 notes in a row, or you use your forefinger to go up. This is something different. Today I'm going to be talking about slides where you're placing your fingers on the strings and slide as you're doing that movement. I thought I'll explain a bit more about that, because sometimes people ask what exercises are good to work on that, what pieces are good to work on that. And I think because it's a habit which has something to do with just the very act of starting to play the harp. It's something that happens throughout any piece that you play. If you've got that habit, then you need to start working actually before you even choose any piece. It's something that you have to actually work all the time if you want to unlearn that habit. Why is it not so helpful? Why does it matter not to be doing the slides? So I don't know how advanced you are. You can just let me know in the comments whether you're a beginner or if you're more advanced harpist. As a beginner, it may not matter so much if you're just doing a bit of an extra movement as you place the fingers on the strings. But as you're progressing to play more and more advanced pieces, you will notice that it does slow you down, because it's an extra movement which takes an extra amount of time before you actually get there and can play. And if you get to playing more advanced pieces with more notes going at a faster speed, then you're going to see that you're not able to play as fast as your colleague who has different habit of just getting there and playing. And another thing which can actually cause you some problems, even if you're not playing any of those fast pieces, is that it can be a cause of the buzzes. And this is sort of counterintuitive, because many people, when the teacher tells them, oh, there is a buzz there, can you make sure it's clean? The instinct is to do something like that, to be a bit more cautious when placing. We think that if we approach the string really carefully, then we are going to avoid the buzzes. But actually the best recipe for buzzes is to open your hand slowly from there and just put it on the strings like that. Then you're not risking that you're accidentally going to grab a string with your fingernail. This is much safer actually. And these are the two main reasons why you want to try to avoid the sliding. It may also slightly compromise your hand position. If you're doing that, then it's harder to keep your thumb high and keep a nice space between thumb and second finger. But I think the biggest downside of sliding is slowing you down and the buzzes. So how to practice placing without sliding? What I usually tell to my students, we're starting that from the very beginning. Whether it's someone very advanced, we usually just go back to the basics. I say close your hands like that, and you can see that they are closed with fingers not curled like that, just there, and not clenching fist too much. Just as if you wanted to hold something really lightly, I don't know, a feather or something like that. You can hold them like that, and then you turn your hands as if you were about to play the harp. I haven't got that much space, but you can keep your elbows parallel to the floor if you can. And then I would slowly approach the harp string. I'll show you with my left hand and with my right hand, so you see it from both angles. And I'm keeping it closed, you can see that. I would probably start with approaching one chosen string with my thumb, making sure that I've got this nice space here, and then really slowly opening the fingers and getting them to the strings. Let me show you again with my right hand. So here's my right hand, fingers nicely closed. You can even start with approaching like that, but then turning just slightly so you can open your thumb and put it on the strings, and then really, really slowly getting your fingers on. Because if you don't do that consciously, what usually happens is doing sort of this thing, like opening your fingers and approaching the string like that. And it's absolutely normal. It's really something that we human beings do, which is in our nature. When we grab things, we usually approach them like that, whether we want to reach for something or whether we want to hold something. We're not really used to doing something, to be doing something like that. So it's absolutely normal. Don't worry if you spot that habit in yourself, because 95% of people would do exactly the same thing. But that's why you have to do it really slowly, and that's why you have to be really, really mindful from the first moment when you start playing the harp. Even when you're tuning the harp, what I usually do, I put my thumb on one string and then I pluck the other string, just to avoid doing this sort of thing. So you can practice that really on many different occasions. You don't have to play any special exercises or etudes. It's just about being mindful that very first moment when you approach the harp, or when you're replacing your hand in the piece, and so on. Hello to everyone who posted some emojis. Let me just move the phone. Sorry, Instagram. It's a bit of a strange setup today, but I can still see your comments. So if you have anything to add, just feel free, or ask any questions that you have. Here there is a bit of a funny thing. Sometimes when I tell that to my students, they look at me with a very strange facial expression when I ask them, have we talked about the airplanes? And they think I'm probably going completely crazy, but talking about the airplanes, that's something that I used to explain to really young students. So I don't know how many of you have actually seen an airplane landing, but I assume that at least one of those movies with airplanes have crossed your mind at this moment. So when you see the plane in the air, it's coming along with the wheels inside, hidden. But when it's landing, it opens slowly. I don't know the technical details, but the wheels basically come out like that. So you kind of have to think that your hand is an airplane and that you're approaching the harp like that. You can open your wheels in the end. You don't have to wait until the very last minute. But then you almost never, in fact, you never probably see an airplane doing something like that when landing. So just think that your hand is a plane and that your wheels just allow you to land on the strings. Hello to anyone who joined now. We're talking about how to place the hands on the strings without sliding, without that extra movement. I said that this is something that you should be practicing anytime you play anything on the harp, but what is really, really helpful, I think, is having an established practice routine, something you will do in exactly the same way every day, so you can spot any signs of sliding as early as you can. And before I move on, I'll just have a look at a comment I got. Nana, hello Nana. Nana says, I'm a grabber with the bear claw thing, not sliding but to grab like that certain times. That's an interesting thing. I'm not sure if I can quite imagine the bear claw. You will need to show me one day. So back to practice and warm-up routine. So I think it's really helpful to do some kind of warm-up exercises before you move on to your pieces and before you get immersed in thinking about rhythms, music. It's good to have something really simple to work on every day and to watch that movement of fingers from the very first thing you play on the harp. And I've done a live on a warm-up. It's live number 11. I will put that link in the description of the live. You will be able to see it later. The exercises which are there are all good, but if you're a very beginner or you just really want to work from the very first thing, I suggest you just pick your second finger. This is usually a very good one to start, and you just go either step by step on the strings and making sure that you approach the string like that, opening slowly, and you can just go up the strings on a scale. Just to make sure that your hand is not too rigid. You can also go in octaves. Actually, you can pick all the C's and go like that, making sure that your elbow makes the way for the hand, and then coming onto another string, going, let's say, D, and going in octaves, and then always closing your finger to the point that you feel it touching the palm of your hand, and then really slowly opening. So you might notice at the beginning that your arm might feel a bit stiff, but just make sure that you relax and let your hand open every time. Just not really jump away, but avoiding doing anything like that. So closing, and then really, really slowly. You will have to do it really slowly at the beginning, opening the hand as slowly as that. Okay, so that's one exercise that you could be doing. Hi Eva, good to see you today. Thanks for the comment. Then the next exercise I'm suggesting is second and thumb, playing thirds. That's another good one because here you're also opening the thumb and using the fact that you can place the thumb early. And you can go again step by step or in octaves, just to make sure that your hand and arm is relaxed. Jumping around the harp helps making sure that you're not staying glued to the soundboard and not becoming too tense. So that's another one that you can do. And then later, when you're feeling more confident with those simple exercises, I would do arpeggios with placing. That's again an exercise from Live 11. You can download all the music from that live. So I would place again, be very, very mindful before you play any note. Place 4 fingers on the strings in a dominant 7 shape, which means that between each finger you're getting a string of a break. And then I would be going 4, 3, 2, closing all of them into the palm of the hand, not clenching, but just closing them and touching the palm. And then really, really slowly, taking lots of time here, opening them to go back, playing the thumb, and then you can play 4, 3, 2 all at the same time. That will be good for your placing, or just going back the same way. And then another variation, just doing that the opposite way, will be again slowly, slowly, slowly opening your fingers, opening your wheels of the plane, and going thumb, second, third, closing, and then opening really, really slowly again. That one is a bit more tricky because your thumb is going the other way. And then playing 4th finger, and either 3, 2, 1, or playing 4th and then 3, 2, 1. So that's quite an advanced one when you're looking at just that single movement, but it's a good one because especially when you go that way, you're really learning to place all of them slowly. You can also do that not in a dominant 7 shape of a big chord, but you can go on neighboring strings, C, D, E, placing back and then going there. You can also use all the exercises that we were talking about in the last week where we were talking about the turns. You can also download that page because when you sign up to get the materials from Today Live, you will get the access to all of them. And remember, if you're a subscriber on my newsletter list, you don't have to sign up again. You can just use the password that you get when you signed up. And then in the PDF for today's lesson, I left quite a bit of space for you to fill in your favorite exercises, and then you can tick the ones from me that you like. You don't have to do all of them. It's really enough to pick one exercise but commit to doing it every day, even if it's just second finger going in a scale. If you do it every day and you spend 2-3 minutes really watching what your fingers are doing, you will see that it's something that you will be missing when you go to play the big pieces. If you've been playing harp for many years and that habit is really strong, it will take a while to unlearn, but you have to do it slowly and trying every now and then in your pieces that you're learning always to approach the harp like that and practicing really slowly. That's something that always does the trick. Okay, that's everything. I didn't want to make that live too long because then it's easier for you to find all the information that you need. But I hope it was helpful. Let me know what you think if you've got students with that problem or if you noticed that problem in your own playing. Oh, I wanted to say how to spot that because, as I said earlier, it's a very sneaky habit. And if you're used to seeing your fingers doing that all the time, you're not necessarily able to notice that they are doing that. So a few things. You can, of course, record yourself, put a phone in a selfie mode and record yourself and then watch back and see what those fingers are doing. Make sure to record quite a bit, maybe 15 minutes of your practice, because at the beginning you might be doing something very different from what you're usually playing. Asking your teacher, if they haven't told you already, they will be able to look a bit more closely at your fingers, see if you're concerned. And then if you can't quite see what your fingers are doing, watch out for buzzes. See if buzzes are those sounds where you accidentally catch another string with your fingernail or with your finger. I'll try to show you a buzz. I don't know if you heard that. I'll try one more time. Something like that. It's more evident on lower strings. Yeah, something which sounds sort of like that. So if you hear those quite a lot, that's a sign that maybe you're doing a bit of that as opposed to this. And if you're thinking that you're being slowed down in your playing, that you want to play some pieces faster but you can't quite, that might be another sign that you're doing some extra movements which are not helping you to play your pieces up to speed. Okay, now I think that's really everything. I'm going to see you next week, same time, 11 a.m. And let me know how you liked it, and forward that to anyone who's learning the harp who you think might benefit from that. Take care, have a lovely weekend, bye!